Starting your week the right way. Come into the FPL Green Room with me, Gianni the Teachy, and her, Holly Shand.
Coming up in today's show, we're going to react to all the Game Week 3 action with my numbers game and Gianni's eye test report. We're going to be looking at Manchester City, Chelsea, Arsenal, Brentford before our attentions turn to the budget forward category. And then we're going to discuss our moves for Game Week 4, which may or may not include those budget forwards.
Yeah, we've got to also talk about our Game Week 3 scores, Holly. How did you get on? Because I took a 4-point hit. So it was always felt like I was playing catch up this week. And then that theme just continued as the games went on. So I think I ended on 73, which was 69. So it was a greyish arrow.
Yeah, I had a good week. Probably my best week of the season so far, 82 points. So I think I'm comfortably in the top 1 million now. It's nice to have a good week going into the international break. Obviously, the patience with Eze, I think probably Eze was the difference between my team and your team, Gianni. But yeah, it's good to go into the international break with my first green arrow of the season. So I am in the green room. Are you in the green room? Have you got a green arrow?
I think I'm slightly in the green room. It didn't take much for me. I was at like 3.5 mil and now I'm at like, 3.1, 3.2. I'm checking live FPL as we speak. So yeah, maybe a slight green. But I mean, I'm not one for mid-game week ranks, Holly, as you know, but I did check this morning on Sunday morning. And then of course we had Mo Salah. And if you didn't own Salah, you probably got a bit of a red from that. So yeah, I mean, just early thoughts, Holly. We're 3 game weeks in. The Haaland and Salah drafts, those that have both, which was pretty rare, probably 10% of teams, they're the ones that have really won out here, aren't they?
Yeah, you look at Salah, it's 3 double-digit scores in a row. I was hoping that having Jota and Trent could cover Salah. What I've learnt 3 game weeks in is absolutely not. You need Salah, particularly when you look kind of in the next couple of game weeks and captaincy Game Week 5. That's the point where we think we need Salah for that fixture.
Oh, stay tuned then later in the show. Stay tuned to see if we're buying Mo Salah, because in today's show we are going to give our transfer plans, right? And I think both of us will be talking a little bit more about Liverpool when we talk about data and eye test too, but definitely with our transfers, because yeah, Mo Salah feels hard to ignore. Definitely. Okay. Well, look, we'll also just look back then at some of the XG underperformers as well. Just top line, Holly. We've got FPL Troll coming up later in the show, but both Watkins and Salah, Watkins and Saka on the Saturday were big XG underperformers. If you didn't own Saka like me, you got away with one. You're a Saka owner though, aren't you? I think he got an XG of around 1.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good all-round performance from Saka. He had 2 big chances on goal and created a big chance, 3 shots on target. So, yeah, he was unlucky to come away with an assist, but he's still got attacking returns in all 3 game weeks, and you can't say that about many players.
Yeah, fair. And Ollie Watkins was another big XG underperformer. I owned, I think, 0.7-ish, and we'll talk more about him later as well. Guys, a little bit of housekeeping. If you are listening on any podcast platform, you can rate us, you can follow us, you can comment, you can review Apple, Spotify, do all those things, hit those buttons, and join our mini league. The code is 139793. Do like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube as well. And for those that are watching on YouTube, we're also on pod and vice versa. Leave a review, and you can contact us at fplgreenroom@gmail.com if you've got any questions. Because, Holly, we've got the mailbag running. How's that going? Have we got any questions this week?
Yeah, so it looked like you had a busy Friday and Saturday with lots of television appearances, and you were cheating on me on the Sky Sports FPL show. Who was the lucky lady, or was it not a lady at all?
It wasn't a lady. No, I was with someone that I've worked with before, but it's been some time. I was with the great Praz. So it was a good show. It was nice to see Praz. We missed you though, Holly, for sure. And we definitely missed your presence there for the new setup. We were stood by the big screen. So I'm looking forward to doing that with you in a couple of weeks, because they've got all new shiny graphics and the colours look great and all that jazz. But I had a quadruple lineup last week, Holly, when we talk about the green room and stuff. Like, I did the fantasy show on the Friday. I did Sky on the Saturday. So 2 TV appearances, which is very cool and sounds very glamorous. It's really not that. But earlier in the week, I did a Monday off the bench podcast for the Premier League, and the Tuesday I did the Sky podcast that you did the week before. So I did 4 big things. So I felt very privileged, and we are lucky to be sort of content creators that get to do some of the mainstream slots, you and I, and we're in a privileged position there. And I think last week it really sort of took me aback that we get all these brilliant opportunities to speak about the game that so many know and love.
Yeah, it's surreal, especially like when it's been transfer deadline day week as well, and you're automatically tuning to Sky Sports News all the time to then be back in that studio recording FPL content. Like, it's just always a privilege, isn't it?
Yeah, it was still pretty buzzy because I think so many had been there from the night before and they were still reacting to the deadline sort of moves Saturday morning. So it was busier than normal. I actually met Aaron Lennon in the green room when I was getting my makeup done. He was on the chair next to me. It was his first time there. And Aaron Lennon only retired as a footballer for Burnley, I think, this end of last season. And I asked him about Odobert, who's now at Spurs. He said he's a really good player. He said so much obviously has changed at Burnley. But yeah, it was cool to meet him, a former Premier League. One time I remember picking him in my FPL team back when he was at Spurs. He was a bit of an assist machine one season, I think, under Harry Redknapp. So cool to meet Aaron Lennon. Nice bloke. Yeah,
it's nice when kind of you've been playing FPL long enough that some of the footballers that you've had in your team in the past have become pundits. I remember when I met Micah Richards, I was telling him that I think it was in my first or second season, he was like a 4 million defender at Villa and he was in my team and he found that pretty funny.
Oh, yeah, I do remember him at Villa. Yeah, I think they got relegated that season when Richards sort of ended his career there playing as a centre-back alongside Lescott. I didn't realise he was 4 million though. That's funny because he's well proper into FPL, isn't he, Richards?
Yeah, he loves it. He's been sliding into some of my DMs on Instagram, certainly over pre-season, with kind of wanting to know whether to go Haaland or not. I think he sent me a draft and there was no Haaland. And I was like, because obviously like he's like the City pundit, have no Haaland. I don't actually know if you follow through with it or not. I'll have to look that one up. But, you know, Haaland, again, has taken all the headlines, hasn't he, from the weekend. Back-to-back hat-tricks now, which is incredible. You look at his overall numbers, he's top for shots on target with 10, top for shots in the box with 12, top for big chances with 7. We've both got him in our teams, but I'm sure there's managers that maybe went no Haaland to start the season because he is only 60% owned. What should they be doing now? Is it all in?
If you've got Haaland only, if we're talking just Haaland and Salah, you can probably reach Salah easily in 2 moves. If you've got Salah only, reaching Haaland in 2 moves is way more difficult. That price tag is so much harder to reach. 12.5 to 15.1 is a big difference. And you probably need to wildcard to get Haaland in. The saving grace for non-Haaland owners is in game week 5, he has Arsenal away. So can you ride out the fact that Brentford at home fixture next week, knowing Salah has a good home fixture against Forest, and you might not captain Haaland anyway, captain Salah. And then you have game week 5 where no one's going to captain Haaland. Well, some will, but it's probably not the optimal move. He's away at Arsenal. It's the toughest fixture you'll have all season. And he never does well against them. But then come game week 6, you need him. So can you book a wild card in game week 6? Or can you have enough transfers by game week 6 to get him? Do you have to move heaven and earth for him right now? I don't think so. Do you need him from 6? Probably.
Yeah, I think if I didn't have Haaland, I'd be playing a wild card to get him in. Because you kind of look at the kind of managers that have done really well at the start of the season are the ones that went with both. Yeah. And you look at the upcoming fixtures and I can't see that changing anytime soon when you couple that with the underlying numbers. Like I was looking at, is there anyone at City that can cover Haaland? Well, no. Kevin De Bruyne's an interesting one who had 6 shots this week against West Ham and made 6 key passes. Because Savino was out of the team, he was on all set pieces, 11 corners, 13 crosses. So De Bruyne's an interesting one because I think in a few weeks' time, come game week 6, we're probably going to be looking at tripling up on City. And we've still got Rico Lewis passing the eye test. He's had 2 big chances so far this season and an XG of 0.75. Obviously came away with a return now as well, which is good to see. Vardiol looked like he limped off at the end of that game against West Ham. I've not seen anything anywhere to confirm that he's got an issue or not. The only issue is Champions League football coming up. Does Walker get in? And Walker not involved in the England setup. Lewis is. So yeah, there's a lot to think about when it comes to City assets in general, not just Haaland.
It's the elephant in the room, the Champions League for Man City. I feel like we have to caveat every potential Man City move, unless we're talking about Haaland, if we're talking about Lewis, if we're talking about De Bruyne, even at times managers will do it later this season when we're talking about Foden, but Champions League, Pep Roulette. And it's a fair comment, especially for Lewis and especially for De Bruyne. De Bruyne will see rotation. They've got to be careful because last season got injured far too much. They can't play him twice a week, every week. Rico Lewis might be the guy that they play more often than not in the Premier League and more often than not in the easier fixtures because he steps into midfield and it's then a back three. Kyle Walker is often needed when you're playing against, very good teams. Yeah, exactly. And then because Kyle Walker is often the last man in defence and they need his recovery pace. And in the Champions League, they might need it. So if Walker's playing Champions League, Rico Lewis is playing against, Brentford every Saturday. Yes, please. And the stats there for Lewis are good. You mentioned the big chances, but he also has had a goal disallowed in game week 1, hit the woodwork game week 2, obviously got the assist game week 3. He's getting bonus points. He's been unfortunate to concede in a couple of games. Like City are still statistically right up there with the best defences in the league in terms of expected goals conceded. It's only around 2, I think. They're going to keep a ton of clean sheets and the big points will still come for Rico. And at the moment, we've not really seen those big points, but the goals are coming, the clean sheets are coming, the assists are already there. He's 4.6 million. If you pick him though, you've got to be aware that he won't start every game, but I think that's okay. You just need a very good sort of fourth defender. You probably don't want him as your third and then a 4.0 fourth defender.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, City are going to keep clean sheets. They're unlucky that they've only got the one so far. They've only conceded 3 big chances on their goal in the first 3 games of the season. In terms of expected clean sheets, they're right up there. In terms of expected goals conceded, they're right up there as well with Liverpool, who are the only side to have won all of their opening games and not concede any goals, which is why we're loving Liverpool at the moment and looking for those triple ups. Another side, and this is always one where I know you'll have plenty of eye test report for us, is Chelsea. In game week 3, Palmer seemed to be more of a creator. He had 5 key passes, 2 big chances created, obviously got the assist. Nicholas Jackson, who has been kind of labelled as a bit of an FPL troll over the years, 4 shots in the box, 2 big chances. Obviously, he got a goal. Is Palmer a must-have? And is Jackson an option in FPL or not?
I think the only reason Palmer's not a must-have is because I think there are 2, or certainly 1, good budget options in that Chelsea attack that can still produce you good FPL points. So if you can cover the Chelsea attack without having Palmer, is what I'm saying here. Yes, Palmer's going to get more points than the 2 players I'm thinking of are Madueke and Jackson. But Madueke and Jackson in their own right are very good picks. And you can't have them all and something has to give. And if you want Haaland and Salah, which I think everyone now is moving towards, certainly the Haaland only camp are moving towards, you can't have Palmer and Trent. And I think many are going to want Trent and he's easier to reach. So maybe Palmer has to be the compromise. Now, the good news is Madueke, yes, they've signed Sancho and he will compete for that right-hand spot, but it's absolutely Madueke's to lose now. We've seen Madueke play in the Carabao Cup. We saw him but play well and come off at 60, which is like, yeah, we need to rest you. In the Thursday night Europa League game. But in game week 2, he was so impressive that we hoped game week 3 he'd still be a starter. Well, the good news was on Sunday, not only did he start, but he didn't come off early. So Gusto comes off early at 74. Pedro Neto came off at 58. Well, Madueke stayed until 86 when Nkunku came on. It shows that the manager is rewarding him. It's like, yeah, no, we can make a couple of attacking subs, but I'm still keeping Madueke on. He was the 3rd attacking sub, not the 1st or the 2nd. And if you're going to get 80 minutes plus of Madueke at 6.6 million, he's going to prove to be a really good option because he's direct and he'll still benefit from some Palmer assists and he'll still get some points. He won't get Palmer points, but he doesn't have to at that price. And then Nico Jackson, they didn't sign Tony, they didn't sign Osimhen. He makes intelligent runs. He works hard. His finishing needs a lot of work. Sure, it does. But he's going to get the chances because when you've got Pedro Neto or João Felix on the left and you've got Palmer behind you and you've got Madueke on the right, you're going to have a lot of ammunition or a lot of fuel. And Jackson's going to get points. I just think at 7.5 million, there's going to be better strikers. I think long-term, Solanke will be a better pick, for example. But right here, right now with the fixtures, could you punt on Jackson? Yeah, I prefer Madueke though.
Yeah, Madueke had 2 big chances himself. So again, he could have come away with a bit more from that game. 2 other players that had 2 big chances in game week 3 were from Brentford. We had Brian Mbeumo, obviously got a brace. He had 3 shots on target. Creative as well, 3 key passes, 2 big chances created. Amissa, he had 6 shots on goal, 2 big chances. 3 key passes from him as well, which surprised me. An XG of 1.09, which was among the top couple there. Brentford's fixtures, though, this is the tricky bit, the entry point, isn't it? Because Wissa and Mbeumo both benefit from the fact that Tony has gone. But the next 2, City away, Spurs away, are these players that we need to monitor, or can we go in and buy them?
This is why when we're talking game week 6 wildcard, because again, it's Brentford, like Arsenal, who from 6 have a really good run. I was looking, so I watched the Brentford highlights. I didn't see the game live, but I saw the highlights. And then straight off the back of it, I was like, I need to see the pass map and I need to see the average position map. And both those things are amazing from Mbeumo. I think he had the most progressive passes received to him, and I think he made the most progressive passes. So literally, everything good in terms of fluid attacks goes through him. In the past, when I've looked at his average position, he's kind of been like proper high, proper wide. Like always the most advanced man on the pitch, but proper high, proper wide. On Saturday, he was equally as high as Wissa. They were the 2 most advanced men. But he was pretty central. And when you see those goals, like they can come from those sorts of positions. And when he's central, he's a greater goal threat. We know his numbers without Tony and the team are brilliant. They're better than with Tony. And he works well with Wissa. Both of these guys are very good options. And Burmo's clearly the talisman. He'll probably be the penalty taker and probably going to get more minutes. But both are going to be in the 11. I like them very much. They were playing Southampton though. So I have to take the data we hear and the maps we see with a pinch of salt because it was Southampton at home. You're not going to get too many better fixtures. But come game week 6, we're all going to want them. And I think many will go in Mbeumo first before Wissa.
Yeah, and the intelligent play could be at that point to double up if they're both performing well. I mean, we're both looking at potentially buying a budget forward this week. Some interesting overall numbers. This is from the first 3 game weeks. And this is one, Chris Wood obviously popped up again in game week 3. And he's a player that hadn't impressed me to date so far this season, but is now looking a little bit more secure in terms of game time. I thought he would be a sell come game week 4, but he's had 9 shots this season, 6 shots on target, 4 big chances, looking to be one of the best forwards in the game at the moment. Then you've got João Pedro, who's scored in the last 2 game weeks, 2 big chances this season, 3 shots on target, 5 shots in general. Not amazing numbers. I don't know, I'm a little bit concerned about the strength and depth there is in Brighton's attack, but the fact he's the 90-minute man and on penalties means that, you know, he looks okay. Muniz is the one that I bought as my Solanke replacement 2 weeks ago. 3 blanks so far this season. He's had 11 shots, which is the most of any of them. 4 shots on target, with just 1 big chance. That's the concern with Muniz.
He's also got Raul Jimenez breathing down his neck, which is why he's getting the 75-minute subs. And João Pedro, the good thing is it's Welbeck that gets subbed off. And then João Pedro can stay on the pitch and go to the number 9 from the 10. He can also play on the left where Matoma plays. He feels like he's nailed, like not just nailed for starts, but nailed to play 90 most weeks. I like João Pedro. I think João Pedro is so clear of the others. And, you know, you can also include Welbeck in that budget forward camp. You could include Wissa, we've spoken about. But João Pedro is the best. He's better than Wood. He's better than Muniz. And I think the Brighton fixtures, the next 2 are so good. But even in the tough games, he's just scored against Arsenal. He scored against Man United. João Pedro, and he's not been called up for Brazil, which would concern me. Yeah, so Brazil play on the Wednesday night. And that those journeys back from South America can really take their toll. And often we will see players benched if they're playing on the Saturday. Now, Colombia and Argentina, like Luis Diaz owners, for example, don't worry too much. He plays on the Tuesday night. The Brazil players, there are a few, play on the Wednesday. But yeah, João Pedro apparently hasn't been called up, which is brilliant. So yeah, I think the budget forwards, we'll talk about them more when we talk about our transfers. In terms of some of the eye test scouting from the Sunday games, before we talk about some defensive stats and we get to troll of the week, so stay tuned for that, guys. I just want to note that in terms of eye test scout, I watched both Super Sunday games. And firstly, Newcastle Spurs, two of my players in particular, you know when you're watching a game of football and you own that player in FPL, you just watch a little bit closer. So I had Isak, Gordon and Son. And Lewis Hall, who came off the bench. Isak and Gordon, the double up's just not on for me anymore. I need to get rid of that double up. Like, they're not showing enough to justify doubling in their attack. And that's a good fixture for them, Spurs at home, because we know Spurs at the back can be so loose. And yes, Isak got big points, but he didn't show much in the game. And Gordon, I'll probably end up holding him a few more weeks, or Isak a few more weeks, one of them for sure. But Gordon playing on the right-hand side is not the same as Gordon playing on the left. And for as long as Harvey Barnes is in the team, Gordon's on the right. Now, as soon as Harvey Barnes goes off, Murphy comes on and Gordon goes to the left. He looks much better. But if Harvey Barnes is going to be a regular starter, and I think he probably will be, Gordon on the right isn't the same asset. And then Son up top, we didn't see it until the second half. And we saw him out in the wide again. And that Spurs attack, the decision-making and the amount of rotation we see with the amount of subs and not knowing who the clear first choice are. Is it Brennan? Is it Odegaard? Is it Timo? On for the wide places, is Kulu a 9? Is he a centre mid? And just rotating so much, there's no consistency in that attack. Again, both Son, Isak, Gordon, all three of them, I'm happy offloading. I'm not going to offload them all, but none of them have shown me enough to go, yeah, I want them long term.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you there. One stat that caught my eye from that game: the player with the most shots in that game.
Oh, it was just, yeah, I saw that.
Pedro Porro. Like, that is ridiculous. I've not got him in my team, but, you know, I said all pre-season Porro is a great FPL pick. And people were like, oh, well, what are you going to do in game week 3 when he plays Newcastle, game week 4 when he plays Arsenal? You don't own him for the clean sheets. You own him for the attacking returns. And, you know, he is fixture-proof. Another defender with great stats is Wolves' Rain Aït-Nouri. 2 big chances. God. And I think I saw you post about him.
Did you see the average position? Well. I posted his average position map, pass map. I think he was the most advanced player on the pitch from left back. It's amazing.
But also, crucially, in terms of our FPL defences, Liverpool the only side to keep a clean sheet in game week 3. And I keep thinking that Trent Robbo double up, is it on? Another early substitution for Trent, which is on concern. But my defence did okay. Like, I have got Nick Pope, who got 2 save points, a 4-pointer. Take that every day of the week. Anthony Robinson, who brought in 2 weeks ago, another assist. So, you know, my defence is delivering for me, even though there weren't those consistent clean sheets this week.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I was just thinking of the Aït-Nouri position because I'm blown away by it at 4.5 million. The Wolves fixtures though are just so bad.
Yeah, they've not improved yet, have they?
No, but then I look at some defenders and go, you don't need clean sheets if they're getting assists every week of 4.5 million. And Anthony Robinson's a great example of that. Like, he's not got the clean in 2 or 3 and got an assist both times. So yeah, one to monitor there, I think, in Aït-Nouri. So yeah, watch this space. And on Porro, because you mentioned, Holly, you tipped him so much pre-season. When I was watching Spurs earlier, what they do a lot, and I noticed this when I watched them live, they take a lot of short corners. Maddison goes short a lot. And when he goes short, they work it to the kind of corner of the 18-yard box where Porro's often there to receive the ball, and he goes with the first-time cross. And Romero scored a goal in the first 10 minutes today. I think it was on minute 13. And it was just offside, but it was from a Porro cross. Like, Porro nearly had an assist within 13 minutes. Like, he's going to be super dangerous, both set pieces and open play for shots. He's a great pickup, even with bad fixtures. He's going to score more this year than he did last year in terms of attacking returns.
Yeah, he's one to keep an eye on for sure. Probably not one for this week with the North London derby, though.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to Troll of the Week?
Oh, I guess we should. You know, I want to give this a proper intro every week. So we're going to go. This week's Troll of the Week is it's Ollie Watkins. Oh, Holly, I brought him in on a 4-point hit. It was just, it's always fun. You see 5 points, you're like, great. But when you do it for a 4-point hit and there's so much expectation because it's Leicester, and then you see the amount of XG Villa produced and you see the chances Watkins got, he just can't hit a barn door at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually, I think because I was out and busy on Saturday, I'd actually missed the fact that he'd got an assist. So I thought he was a shoe-in for the Troll of the Week. Then I saw he got the assist and thought, oh, maybe Gianni won't say. What we heard before the game from Unai Emery was interesting regarding his fitness. He said he was coming here with a small injury. He was not really 100% when he started training with us. He needed 1 week more resting time than other players after his comeback. Now, after playing 2 matches, I think he's going to feel better and better and comfortable as we remember how we want to get his best performances helping us. He played good last week, not brilliant, but he did the job. Of course, we want his goals as well. He had 2 very good chances. He didn't score, but the most important thing is to create chances. Now, I'm guessing you saw this before you took the hit for him.
I did. And that quote could very easily be the same quote game week 3. Emery saying the same. That's his performance again. And again, it was an early sub. Like I think game week 1 and 2, and he didn't have a single preseason game, Watkins. It was one of the few Premier League players we saw for the first time hit the grass in game week 1. But it was like 70 minutes. Well, game week 3, it was more like 60. And John Duran comes on and he keeps coming on, not only playing well, but scoring goals. John Duran scored a goal, brilliant header, and got 3 bonus points. Now, I'm not saying John Duran's going to come in and start over Ollie Watkins because Ollie Watkins has got a ton of credit in the bank and he's Villa's best, almost talismanic player. But those early subs are a worry. And what Emery doesn't do, he doesn't go too up top. He doesn't keep Watkins on and play Duran. He likes one or the other. So we might continue to see early subs if Watkins isn't playing well. But it's Everton next. The fixtures are so good. Because Watkins is getting early subs, what's not going to happen now is people aren't going to buy him. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's my slight advantage. Because I think everyone planned to buy Watkins come game week 3, 4. And now they're not going to because they go, I'm put off by the early subs.
Yeah. And I mean, he's been called up to the England squad again. It'll be interesting to see whether a international break injury turns up for him because we do tend to see that happens. I mean, Villa are picking up injuries at like a very rapid rate at the moment, though. We saw... we
did. Liam
Bailey went off with an injury early. I feel like there was someone else as well.
May have been a hamstring. We've seen Matty Cash the week before. You know, Honza ended up playing right back. Yeah, it's not looking great. And they've got the Champions League this year. They more than ever do they need their players fit.
Yeah, and I think that coupled the injuries, the smaller squad, the Champions League, I think that makes me now think I can get away without going with Villa. But again, we could see a tweak in the formation going forward if, you know, there is a lack of wide players that maybe will go 2 up. I think maybe Duran has been coming on for Watkins because of Watkins' fitness. And if Watkins is fully fit, then we may see a 2 up. It's just something we need to keep an eye on at this point.
Yeah, so true. We really do. And again, with Champions League, it's like, yeah, you need your strongest 11. But then come the Premier League, they want to be in the Champions League next season again. So it's not like we can go, I'll just bench Ollie Watkins. Like Watkins will just play twice a week for a while, I think. So let's see. And again, that's even more reason to give him the restricted minutes now because they're going to need him 2 sets of 90, hopefully, come in a couple of weeks' time. Holly, in terms of our decisions, what are we thinking come game week 4? Obviously, it's difficult to commit now. We're here in the international break and it's, you know, things can happen. But as things stand, what's your plan? Because neither of us own Salah.
Yeah, and I did look at could I get Robertson in and ignore Salah?
I looked at that too. And I looked at the box line. I looked at Luis Diaz.
That was before the Liverpool game and Salah's goal and 2 assists. I think for me, Salah has to come in for Saka. And I am a little bit off that in terms of the money I've got at the moment. I'm 1.1 million off that. So I think I'll probably sell Vardiol. Now I can go. Okay. I could go Vardiol to Lewis.
Oh, Holly, I love that.
But I've got Barco as that dead spot on my bench.
Okay.
So it's probably a little too risky. It's not a move that I really want to go early on. I've only got 0.3 million budget to play with here as well. I could go with Lewis Dunk, which doesn't really set my world alight, but I think
good next two fixtures.
Good next fixtures. You're getting on a defence in Brighton that look like they've got the potential to keep clean sheets because they've looked okay defensively despite having some tricky fixtures. Yeah. But then that means that I've still got triple Fulham with Muniz, which I don't like.
Yeah.
It means holding Isak, which I think I'm okay with. The other potential was Muniz to João Pedro. Now I could do that for a hit if I'm short on funds. It just depends on like price changes over the next few days and what comes out of the international break. Ideally, I'd like to hold on as long as possible before making transfers. Yeah. But I don't think that's going to be possible. So I'm still tempted by the move for Lewis, knowing that I've got the wild card in the back pocket. So it could be Salah and Lewis in for Saka and Vardiol.
How many transfers you got?
2.
Nice. See, because I went Watkins, well, I took a hit. Yeah. Do you have João Pedro?
No, I've got Muniz.
Oh, of course you have. I think I like your suggestion, but I felt like do you know what? When you said Robertson straight away, I was thinking that's such a smart play. Because they do look like such a good clean sheet team this season, don't they? And Robertson, a bit like Trent, he came off on Sunday for Tsimikas. Like it's only 10 minutes at the end, but still, that's quite good for a defender. Like you go, yeah, you bank that clean sheet 10 minutes early. I mean, it's not great for the bonus points, but I do like Robbo. And again, in game week 2, he showed us he's getting into really good shooting positions as well. But I guess the question comes down to, yes, Luis Diaz is good. Yes, Szoboszlai and Robbo are good. But can anyone cover Salah? And it feels like game week 5 captaincy plays a big part in our thinking there. Like, if you're not going to captain Haaland in game week 5, are you? He's got Arsenal away.
No, and you're not going to captain Jota either.
No, you're not, with his reduced minutes. Now, if you own Watkins, he's got an all right fixture. If you own Son, he's got an all right fixture, fine. But you're going to want to captain Salah game week 5.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe we just may have to both move heaven and earth for him. You think you'll do it?
Yeah, I don't really want to do it yet, but I feel like I may have to. Like,
how tight are funds?
0.3. But
you're right.
Yeah, but Salah could rise twice.
Yeah, I guess.
And it only takes a drop from Saka or Vardiol. What do you think about Lewis Dunk? Because again, it's a bit like Welbeck, not a sexy pick.
No, I dunk in my wildcard draft because the next 2, and I think Brighton are going to be really good. I actually tweeted today, will Brighton finish higher than Man United? And 85% of Twitter agreed with me. But that's just people wanting to have a pop at United. But Konsa's another option at 4.5. Again, like Dunk, a bit of a boring pick, but Villa's fixtures are so good. I prefer Dunk, I think.
Yeah, I think the same. Like, I prefer Brighton's fixtures. Obviously, no Europe.
I prefer Rico Lewis out of all of them, if I'm honest.
Yeah, but then Barco.
Yeah, but Barco's your 5th defender, not your 4th, right?
I've got Harwood Bellis, haven't I?
There you go.
Bail me out every week.
Harwood Bellis can come in every now and then if Pep decides to Pep. Okay, well, look, we'll stay tuned and follow you on YouTube and Twitter to see what you end up doing. But yeah, I like it. Like me, I think I'm gonna end up going Salah. I mean, I'm faced with a simple switch of like, I could go Son or Gordon out, one of them, to Luis Diaz or Eze. Like, I like them both.
Yeah.
But neither are as good as Salah. And I could go Son to Salah, Isak to João Pedro, and I feel like that's probably where I'll end up going. Because I actually think João Pedro is better than Isak in the next 2 games. Forget price for a second. Yeah. I think João Pedro is the better pick than Isak in the next 2 weeks. 2 really good fixtures. So I think I'll end up taking another 4-point hit, which is ridiculous. I'm not that hit heavy. 1 in game week 3, 1 in game week 4. What am I doing, Gianni? I've got enough money in the bank to not have to worry about it yet. And I think I'll wait till later and just suck up the prices.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think now that the window's shut though, it's really hard to justify taking a hit when you've got a wild card, and especially when you can accumulate your transfers as well. Like the early wild card is the play, whether it be this week or in 6. But when it comes to a -4 v wildcard, I think it's getting tight in terms of maybe the wildcard's the better option. So it would.
Don't
I
say
would
that.
just think about that.
I need to look at the wild card. Genuinely need to look at it. I've also got huge problems at the back, Holly. Like, we won't go into this in much more detail, but I've got Robinson and Trent, brilliant, and then my third defender is Lewis Hall, who's not starting. My fourth defender is Ben Johnson, who's not starting, and my fifth defender is Barco.
Yeah.
And I'm talking again about another 4-point hit that doesn't involve a defensive transfer. I think I can get by with Ben Johnson because away at Brighton, I think they'll play a 5 and therefore he starts. But still, like, I need to put some attention on my defence as well. So yeah, all up in the air for me. Stay tuned and see what I'm up to. But look, let's move our attention to some lighter stuff, Holly. We're both parents. We love talking about our kids, and we appreciate that we've got a lot of young viewers and listeners who perhaps don't have kids and don't care too much about children at the moment, but hopefully they'll get a little bit of humour out of our stories. And then there's many that listen to us that, like us, are of an age that maybe they have kids, so they completely get it. So Holly, each week we do our parenting hack or our moment of the week. Is you're up this week, so what you got for us?
Well, the summer holidays, if you're a parent, we've made it. You probably, I mean, my kids don't go back to school till Tuesday morning. But that moment when you've dropped them off after the school holidays and there's someone else's responsibility for the next 6 hours, you see parents celebrating at the school gates, just wandering out of school. And it's the international break as well. So my schedule isn't as kind of stacked as it has been the last few weeks. I have had a few nice days out with the kids in the last week. And they've been good on the whole. So, yeah, the summer holidays is over. We were meant to be going away this weekend, and then they've both come down with cold. So we decided to change plans, but we took them. I live right near Cleethorpes, so we took them to the beach, and they're obsessed with grabber machines. We went to Butlins in June, and ever since then, it's like, is there a grabber machine? Anyway, we go. It's like, can I take a coin for the grabber machine? So they both got these awful teddies in a 2. It's the prize every time grabber machines is where it's at.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I saw one of them the other day. And I remember being a kid, you never used to win anything. So now you can have these guaranteed grabber machines. That's good.
And some of them are really poor. So they end up like picking up more than one, which is a double win. The ones at the seafront were £2 a play for the prize every time, whereas sometimes you can get them where they're £1 a play and then they pick up more than one, which doesn't seem too bad a value. It's all about the value for me. But then there's always a kick-off when one of them's got 2 out the grabber machine and the other one has only got 1. So as long as it's even, I don't care how many prizes come out. But yeah, we've definitely made the mistake this summer of getting the kids into grabber machines. And like, they've even started playing grabber machines. They're like, we've got like one of the IKEA storage boxes full of basically like fidget toys and just the crap that they love for about 5 minutes because it's new. And they just play grabber machines. They make up their own games. So if you can avoid getting Gaia into grabber machines, then please do, because it costs an absolute fortune.
Yeah, and I'll be sure if I do to avoid the ones on the beach. That's really funny. You say like it's £2 at the beach, but you go a few streets back and you get them for £1. It's a bit like the fish and chip shops. Don't buy fish and chips on the seafront. You pay double and they'll never be as good. All for the gimmick. So yeah, okay, that is a very good hack, Holly. Noted. Note to self. Good stuff, guys. If you've got any parenting hacks who want to share your ideas with us, do get in contact. You can email us, you can comment, you can be in touch several ways, but fplgreenroom@gmail.com is our email address. And thank you so much for your time as always, team. Do hit those follow buttons, do rate us, give us the 5 stars, and of course get your questions in when you're leaving those 5-star reviews as well. We'll be back in the green room very, very soon, but for now we're going to say our goodbyes. Holly, I'll let you close us out.
Yeah, just a quick one as well. We've been getting lots of views on YouTube. So if you are on YouTube, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel as well. Maybe no pod next week, but we'll be back hopefully with a green arrow in the green room in 2 weeks' time. So join us on a Monday morning.
See you later, guys.
all I